Hi guys and welcome. So today I'm going to show you the best settings and ways on how to achieve really good image quality on your photos on the S23 Ultra. Right, let's get into it. So let's start with the settings. I think this is the core for getting better quality pictures. So the scene optimizer, I have it on. This gives you some suggestions on how you should hold your camera and where would be the optimal position to take your picture. Shot suggestions is something similar. I just have it off. I want to frame it myself and I don't need the help of the camera. But you could, if you're a newbie, you could use this and put it on. So scan QR code. If you have this on, you're able to scan a QR code directly from the camera app. Swipe shutter button. If you go into this menu, you'll be able to choose between take a burst shot or create a GIF. I have it to take a burst shot. I like sometimes to take multiple shots when I'm doing something like taking pictures of my kids, when I sometimes have to take many shots and then I just choose the best one out of them. Now to the advanced picture options. I normally like to use the RAW and JPEG formats because you get two pictures. This will enable you when you're in the Expert RAW mode to take raw pictures and save it as a PNG RAW file. Okay, so tracking autofocus, I have this always on. You can basically choose a subject and the camera will always focus on that subject even if it moves. So really good for when you're taking pictures of your kids or pets that are moving constantly around, and this basically ensures you that you get a clear image each time you take a photo. The grid lines I always have on as it helps me achieve a better composition of my images. Location tags, also self-explanatory. GPS location tag so you know where you've taken the pictures. Quite useful for when you look for certain photos you took in a certain location. So settings to keep. I always have camera mode on, as this ensures me that every time I go back to the camera app I have the same camera mode that I used just before, because sometimes when I'm filming or taking pictures of a specific thing and I have to quickly interrupt this, I want to go back to the camera and carry on filming. I also have the higher picture resolutions toggled on because of the same reason. When I go back to the phone I want to carry on taking pictures the same way I was doing earlier. And here portrait zoom, the same thing. When I go back I want to carry on doing the same thing. Selfie angle and filters, I have it off as I don't really use it often. And super steady, depending on the situation, I'll toggle it on myself, as I often film with a tripod or take pictures quite steady with my hand. So yeah, I have these toggled off. The next thing I recommend getting is the camera assistant. If you don't have it pre-installed on your phone, you can go to the Samsung store and download it from there. Okay, so now I have these extra settings thanks to the camera assistant. So I have auto HDR on, as this will help me achieve better images just using the inbuilt camera app. If I were to use the Expert RAW mode, then this would be turned off. I have picture softening off, as I like my images to look quite real, because if you put it on medium or high then it will over sharpen your images and it won't look that realistic. I have the auto lens switching off because I like to choose the lens myself and not let the smartphone choose for me, because sometimes this can get it wrong and sometimes I really want to take the image with the telephoto lens and not with the wide lens. The quick tap shutter is also off for me. This will allow you to tap anywhere on the phone and you'll be able to take a photo, but I don't like that because sometimes you get a shaky image when you tap on the screen and you could take a photo by mistake, so I like to keep this off. And now here's probably the biggest feature of this camera assistant, is this capture speed. So here you can choose for the regular resolutions, you can prioritize quality, balance speed and quality, or prioritize speed. Maybe with this phone you've experienced when you take the 200 megapixel photos that it sometimes has a lag, and basically this is because the prioritized quality is on. If you don't want this, you can choose the prioritized speed. This will make the camera take the photos quicker, but the quality won't be prioritized. And the same here with the regular resolutions. You can prioritize speed, both, or quality. I always have it on prioritize quality for both. I don't mind waiting a second longer to get the best quality out of this. So this is why I have it like this. Okay, so another cool feature is the timer multi-photo options. Here you can basically tell the phone to take 1, 3, 5 or 7 pictures when you use the timer. So quite useful when you're, for example, taking group photos, and then you can basically select the best out of the 3, 5 or 7 pictures that you took. And finally, the camera assistant, the last option is here, clean preview on HDMI displays. You can basically turn it on if you want to have a clean output onto your TV or monitor to see the whole image. But normally when I do this, I really want to see the settings, the buttons, and sometimes the audio levels. So this is always turned off in my case. So now let's have a look at the settings that you see here at the top. So here at the top, starting on the right, something I don't normally use but I want to show you guys is the filters. You can have here some special filters. You can add them directly whilst you're taking the photo, so you can see the end result before you take the picture. And basically, yeah, there's some quite nice looking ones, black and white. This is quite cool. So you also have this face option here. If you don't see any settings, look here on the bottom right, you'll see off. Click on it and you get all the options. Here what you can do is smooth your face, change the tone. You can even change the jawline, change the size of your eyes, and then basically turn this off again so you don't see the options. So now to this icon here, motion photo. So this is quite a cool option to have on if you're taking pictures of moving objects or people or even pets, as you'll be able to go back in time and choose a better photo. And now here you can choose all the aspect ratios. You can do full for the full phone. You can do 1:1, which is square, then 16:9 is something I use quite often to do thumbnails, so I don't have to reframe the picture afterwards. I quite like the 200 megapixel images for landscapes or for street photography, as I can get a lot of detail in the image and you can zoom in quite a bit without losing any image quality. So then we have here the timer that we spoke about earlier. You have 2, 5 and 10 seconds you can choose from. Then we have here the flash. I always have it off. It's not that good of a flash, so try and avoid using this flash because you won't get any good pictures with it. And then you have here the settings which we saw earlier. So now let's talk about all the zooms and the lenses that we have here at the bottom. You have the wide angle lens, then the 1x. You see it change the camera there, then the 3 times and the 10 times. Wow. I can put the Mando quite far away and it will have a really good image. The 10 times is an optical lens and this will give you really good quality. If you go further, the zoom will be digitalized and you will lose some quality. If you press on the 10 times, you can see here the other times. You can see 30 and then 100. Wow, ridiculous. Indoors I would definitely not use the 100 times zoom because you don't have enough light and the quality will be rubbish. And I would normally recommend not going past 30 because you will lose a lot of quality. With 30 times zoom, let's try and get Mando here in focus. It's not too bad considering it's quite dark here in my studio. It looks good. Another thing you can do is also zoom. This way you can basically scroll left to right and zoom in and zoom out. And you don't have to use the predefined settings here. So now let's talk about some of the camera modes here. Portrait. This one has been out for a while now. Basically you get a blurred background, the subject is in focus and you get a blurred background. Then we have night. You can basically take pictures at night, it will do long exposures and you'll get a better clean image. Then we have Expert RAW. If you haven't downloaded it yet, you'll see a little arrow pointing downwards. You can just click on it and it will just download it for you. Here basically you can take really awesome raw pictures with a lot of information which you can edit then later in, for example, Lightroom for mobile devices. So check this out. I took this picture in the Expert RAW mode And this is what I was able to do with Lightroom. It looks pretty sick. I'm really impressed with it. You can shoot 12 megapixel RAWs with all the lenses, and you can take a 50 megapixel RAW with the wide lens. Panorama, this has been out for a while now, so I'm not gonna dive into this. The food app is also quite cool. It makes your food pop out and look really amazing if you're into that. So yeah, and that's about it for the camera modes in the photo area. So now I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to make the experience with the camera a lot more fun. So now to one of the most important features in the camera that you need to know is locking the exposure. So by tapping or long tapping, if you have the auto tracking on, you will get this circle. So this will happen if you tap it once, if you have auto tracking, and if you tap it long, then you get this circle with the sun, and then you'll be able to turn the exposure down, which is very helpful here because normally Samsung phones tend to overexpose. So I normally like placing the sun a bit to the left of the middle, and this way you get a better exposed photograph. So this would be the regular shot, and now I'm gonna underexpose it a little bit. Take another photo, and you let me know what you think is better, the underexposed or the exposed by Samsung itself. I think this one looks much better. Another feature that many people don't know about is how to take macro photos. Basically, if you're in the 1x, you can try and get close up to a subject. For example, I'm here moving the Mandalorian quite near. I'm about one finger away and it won't focus. But if you use the wide angle lens, the 0.6, you can basically get really close. I am now just under a finger, like a sideways finger length, and I can take a picture. And it's in focus. Quite cool, you can get really creative with this. So one really cool thing is to get your S Pen out. Let me just quickly focus on this. And basically you can press the button and it will take a photo for you. This is a really cool feature because now you don't have to use a timer and you can avoid getting blurry photos by tapping on the screen. Another cool feature is that you can swipe in the air with your S Pen left and right by slightly pressing the button and swiping left or right, and you can basically swipe the photos. Another really cool feature is by long pressing on a subject, it will crop it, and now you can save as a new image. So now here under clipped images, I have the Mandalorian cropped out and you have a black background. Another really cool feature is the object eraser. You go to the pen here, then to the three dots, select object eraser. You can basically draw around the shoe and click on erase and it will erase the shoe and it's gone. This is really good. It did a really good job with it. Another cool feature in the gallery is when you zoom into an image, you can basically make a crop out of this by just pressing this button here. It will just generate it and there you go. Now you have an extra photo in your gallery where you can see the image that you cropped. Another tip that I have for you guys is for when you're taking pictures or videos or you're editing your photos and having a look at them, you can basically add extra brightness by going to the bar here, clicking on the three dots, toggling this adaptive brightness off and extra brightness. This way you can have extra brightness for when you're editing your photos. Another tip that I want to give you guys is if you double tap this button here, the camera button, then it will open the camera. And the last tip I want to give you guys is quite an important one. Go to your settings, go to display and select the screen resolution. By default it's always at full HD. Do yourself a favor and crank it up to Quad HD, and you'll see the difference on your pictures and your videos. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the video and I could help in any way. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, bye!